My name is Kate, and I live with my husband, Michael. We run a restaurant called Sunflower, which I inherited from my grandfather. He owned the restaurant for many years, and it was a favorite spot for the locals, even when he was battling cancer. My grandfather refused to rest. I can't just sit in a hospital, he would say. I belong in Sunflower, working until my last day. He kept cooking and serving with a smile, even as his health got worse. Sadly, one day, he passed away with our family by his side. Before he died, my grandfather left a detailed will naming me, his granddaughter, as the next owner of Sunflower. I decided to honor his wishes and continue his legacy. Thankfully, the regular customers stayed loyal, and the restaurant remained busy. The employees who worked with my grandfather also stayed on, which helped me feel confident in taking over. Since I had spent years learning his cooking style, I was able to prepare dishes that tasted just like his. Customers often said, "It feels like your grandfather is still here with us." Their support made me even more determined to succeed. But Michael wasn't happy about the arrangement. "Why should you inherit the restaurant? Shouldn't it go to me? A man should run the business," he said. I told him, "I'm the granddaughter. Besides, you're running it with me, so it doesn't matter." Michael wasn't convinced. He wanted to be the official owner, even though he couldn't cook. All he ever did was shop for ingredients, while I handled everything in the kitchen. "You can't own a restaurant if you can't even cook," I told him. I knew I was stubborn, but I wanted to respect my grandfather's wishes. He trusted me to carry on his work, and I wasn't about to let him down. Life at Sunflower was busy but fulfilling, until Michael's younger brother, Dave, showed up one day. "Hey, Michael, long time no see," Dave said as he strolled in. Dave had always been lazy and unreliable. He never kept a job for long and didn't take life seriously. Honestly, I didn't like him much. After quitting his latest job, he came back to town and decided to visit us. "So, Michael, did you inherit the restaurant?" Dave asked. "No, Kate did," Michael replied. "What, your wife? That's ridiculous. A woman running a restaurant?" Dave laughed, completely ignoring the customers glaring at him. Then he asked, "Since I'm family, can I eat for free?" "Sure," Michael said without hesitation. Dave ate a big meal, drank beer, and left without paying. I wasn't happy. Even family members pay when they eat here. It's not fair to everyone else, I told Michael. "It's fine," Michael said. "Dave doesn't have any money. We should help him out." After that, Dave started coming to Sunflower all the time, eating and drinking for free. I kept telling Michael to make him pay, but he always made excuses. The more I pushed, the more annoyed Michael got. Eventually, we stopped talking to each other. Dave kept coming around, and the distance between Michael and me grew wider. The two of them would often go into the kitchen and whisper to each other. I acted like I didn't notice and focused on cooking and taking care of our customers. One day, while sneaking glances at me, Dave whispered to Michael, "Isn't there a way for you to take over this restaurant? My wife owns it," Michael replied. "But think about it, this place is in a great location, and it's always packed with customers. Why let her keep all the control and profit? It must be tough working under her, right?" Michael hesitated. "Well, yeah, it is," he muttered. Dave, clearly wanting a piece of the business, began scheming with Michael. My husband, already annoyed with me, eventually agreed to go along with his brother's plan. The next day, our restaurant was closed for a break. Michael left the house early, and I decided to use the day to clean up the restaurant. When I arrived, I noticed the door was already open. At first, I thought I might have forgotten to lock it the night before, but when I went inside, I saw Michael and Dave standing there. "Oh, you're here," Michael said, smirking. The door was open. I was surprised. I said, "What are you doing here on a closed day?" Both of them were grinning in a way that made me uneasy. "I need to tell you something," Michael said. "Ever since you inherited this restaurant, you've been acting all high and mighty, and I'm sick of it." "I'm not acting like that," I argued. "Yes, you are," Dave said, stepping in. "You think you're so great just because the restaurant is successful and making money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They were treating me like I had done something wrong by running the restaurant well. As I argued back, Michael suddenly pulled out a stack of papers and slammed them onto the table. "I've had enough of this. I can't stand your attitude anymore. Let's get a divorce," he said coldly. I looked down and saw they were already filled out divorce papers. I was completely stunned by Michael's sudden announcement. What is this all about? I asked, confused and upset. My thoughts immediately turned to the restaurant. I have employees, but running Sunflower on my own after a divorce will be hard. This is too much to take in all at once, I said, trying to make sense of it all. Michael didn't hesitate. We'll buy the restaurant from you, he said. I'll take over as the owner, and you can leave. I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. It's such a waste, Dave added smugly. This place has a great location and so many customers. With your boring menu, we could do so much better. Exactly, Michael said. Sign the divorce papers and leave. We'll handle the restaurant from here. I couldn't even process what they were saying. This restaurant was my grandfather's legacy. It had been thriving for years and was beloved by our regular customers. You're not willing to make changes, Michael continued. If you keep things the same, this place will fail eventually. That's why I'll take over and do it right. They wouldn't listen to anything I said. It was clear that Michael had been completely influenced by Dave. Fine, I said, my voice calm. I'll sell you the restaurant for $500,000. Michael and Dave looked thrilled. Sure, Michael said confidently. I'll make that much money in no time. I couldn't stand their arrogance, but I kept my cool. Great, I said. Give me 2 weeks to prepare the divorce papers and the contract. Until then, don't come near the restaurant. Thinking they had won, the two agreed eagerly. They were so focused on their profits that they didn't even consider what I might be planning. Over the next 2 weeks, I continued running Sunflower as usual. One day, a regular customer asked, "Where's Michael? I haven't seen him lately." "We're getting a divorce," I said. The customer looked shocked. "Really? So what happens to the restaurant? Are you going to run it alone?" "No," I replied. "Michael is buying the restaurant from me, and I'll be leaving in 2 weeks." The news stunned them, but I quickly reassured them. "Don't worry," I said with a smile. "I've got good news." I handed them a flyer I had prepared, and they immediately looked relieved. 2 weeks later, I met with Michael and Dave. I gave them the contract to sell the restaurant and the completed divorce papers. "There," I said, "you've got everything you wanted, no more complaints." Michael didn't waste any time. He signed the contract and transferred the $500,000 to my account. "This is my restaurant now," he said, grinning. He and Dave celebrated while I quietly packed up my belongings and left. As I walked away, I couldn't help but wonder what they were going to do with Sunflower. Michael and Dave reopened the restaurant the next day, full of excitement. "I've already told the employees about the changes," Michael said. "Everything should run smoothly without Kate." "Perfect," Dave said. "Let's start making money." But when the doors opened at 10 a.m., something strange happened. "Where are the customers?" Michael asked, confused. Usually, the restaurant would be buzzing with people as soon as it opened, but no one came. Even the employees didn't show up. Michael tried calling them, but none of them answered. For the first time, the brothers started to panic. When Michael stepped outside, he saw one of our regular customers walking past. "Hey, aren't you one of our regulars?" he called out. The customer paused, looking uneasy. Yeah." Michael smiled, trying to act friendly. "Great. I was worried since you didn't come when we opened. Come on in." He gently pushed the customer toward the door. The customer walked inside reluctantly and looked at the menu. "What is this?" they asked, frowning. Michael had completely changed the menu after taking over. None of the original dishes from Sunflower were on it. Instead, it was filled with strange and unfamiliar items that didn't appeal to anyone. I guess I'll try the steak," the customer said finally, not sounding excited. "Good choice, coming right up," Michael said eagerly. He and Dave got to work cooking, but it was clear they didn't know what they were doing. The customer waited and waited, getting more annoyed with each passing minute. "What's taking so long?" they muttered after 40 minutes. Finally, Michael brought the dish to the table. The customer stared at it in shock. "What is this?" On the plate were 3 tiny, burnt pieces of meat. The inside was still raw. There was no sauce, no side dishes, just a small piece of bread and a bowl of watery soup. "The meat is high quality, so we only used salt and pepper for seasoning," Michael explained proudly. "It's cooked to let you enjoy its natural flavor and rareness." The customer didn't even pick up their fork. "I'm not eating this," they said, standing up. "Wait a minute," Michael shouted. "You still have to pay. That'll be $30. $30? For this?" You've got to be kidding me. The customer snapped and stormed out, furious. Michael and Dave stood there in stunned silence. As the days went by, no one came back to the restaurant, the employees quit one by one, and the business fell apart. Meanwhile, I had opened a new restaurant in a different location. I called it Sunflower Second. The employees from the original Sunflower joined me, and the regular customers followed because they loved my cooking. The new restaurant thrived. I kept my grandfather's original menu but added new dishes to attract younger people and families. Every day, I honored my grandfather's memory while building a bright future for myself. I was very busy, but it felt satisfying. Meanwhile, Michael and Dave were struggling. They had borrowed money to pay me the $500,000, and now they were getting constant reminders about their debt. What are we going to do about this? Michael asked, clearly stressed. You're the one who started this mess, Dave snapped back. You should figure it out. Dave had not expected things to go this way and was unsure what to do. Suddenly, he seemed to come up with an idea. I have a good plan. Without warning, Michael and Dave came to my new restaurant during the busy lunch rush to carry out Dave's good plan. Help us, Kate, Dave yelled loudly, not caring about the customers. Michael hurt his arm and can't cook anymore, Dave said. We'll return the restaurant to you, but can you give us back the money we paid for it? I stayed calm and replied, the original Sunflower is your restaurant now. You signed the contract. You need to be responsible and make it work. I didn't take them seriously and tried to get back to my work. Then, Michael walked in, looking like he was in pain. Kate, help me, he said, acting like it was a big emergency. I ignored him and tried to head back to the kitchen, but the customers started whispering. Wow, what happened to him? That looks really bad. Is he okay? Hearing them, I turned and looked at Michael, and I was shocked to see a large bruise on his arm. Wait, are you really hurt? I asked. Yes, he said dramatically. I've been telling you. Then go to the hospital right now, I said, feeling worried. I quickly called a cab and sent him to the hospital. Later, during my lunch break, I went to check on him at the hospital. I saw Michael leaving the building, like he had just finished a checkup. When I tried to ask him what had happened, he quickly turned away and ran off with Dave. Something didn't seem right, so I went to the hospital reception to ask. I think a man named Michael came in for an exam. I'm here to pick him up, I said. The receptionist looked confused and checked the records. Sorry, there's no record of a Michael here for a checkup. Maybe he went to another hospital, she said. I was suspicious. Michael had never seen a doctor, and the way they had run off made me feel like they were hiding something. I quickly got in my car and started driving around to look for them. A few minutes later, I saw Michael and Dave walking. I stopped my car, got out, and grabbed Michael's arm. I knew it, I said. I looked closely at his arm and saw that the bruise was gone. Michael and Dave tried to run, but I held on to his arm tightly. My angry look made them stop. Why is the bruise gone? You're not really hurt, are you? I demanded. Michael sighed. I didn't realize running a restaurant would be so hard. No customers are coming to the original Sunflower, so we're losing money. We can't even pay off the debt. I pretended to be injured to avoid working, hoping you'd give us the money back. Unbelievable, I said, shaking my head. You tried to trick me with such a silly lie? I let go of his arm and said coldly, from now on, stay out of my life. The restaurant is yours now. You deal with it. I got back in my car and drove away. As I looked at them in the rearview mirror, I felt disappointed. Eventually, Michael and Dave put Sunflower up for sale to pay off their debts, but since the building was old, they struggled to find a buyer. They worked day and night, getting constant reminders about their unpaid debts. They deserved this because they had been selfish and greedy, focusing on quick money instead of what truly mattered. Meanwhile, my new restaurant kept thriving, and my profits doubled. A loyal customer offered to be trained by me, so I now have an apprentice. I teach them the importance of hard work and humility, ensuring they don't become selfish and greedy like Michael. I continue to work hard every day to keep my grandfather's legacy alive. I'm determined to make sure Sunflower Second lasts for many years to come.